We teased this guest a little bit earlier in the show, and I'm so excited to welcome to the meetup Matt Centrowitz. He is a three-time Olympian, a 2016 Olympic gold medalist, one-time world indoor title, and two world outdoor titles. And let me not forget, he is a new dad. Welcome to the show, Matt Centrowitz.
Thanks for having me. Great intro.
Thank you.
Happy to be here, guys.
So Matt, this has been in the works for quite some time, but I think we can finally share all the exciting details. Tell us all about your involvement with FloTrack going forward and, what it's going to look like for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's funny. Ryan and I have been kind of going back and forth, and I don't even know, before the birth of my kid, sometime last fall, and just kind of catching up with each other. We go way back. I also feel like Ryan was like the only person to extract my retirement news so organically last year as well. I had no intentions on even announcing it or mentioning it, I feel like, until the season was over and him and I were doing a sound running interview. And I just feel like, again, our relationship, our history, he was able to kind of get that out of me. And I felt like, throughout the summer, we just kind of stayed in touch and through the fall. And he mentioned some exciting things down the pipeline that I was very anxious and excited to be a part of. And, fast forward X amount of months later, here I am. So
well, we're so thrilled to have you. This is just the beginning of a very exciting year for track and field. And can you tease a little bit more about maybe some of the places fans might be able to see you in the coming months?
Yes. So within FloTrack, most of the Diamond Leagues, I'm hoping for some other podcasts and other opportunities across all different meets, whether it be, like I said, the Diamond League or maybe some college or other professional meets that, FloTrack will be also broadcasting. And then there's another one too that's pretty exciting, but unfortunately, I don't think there's been an announcement on that yet. So I'll keep these lips sealed until official notice. So.
Nice. Me and Ashley talked about this earlier, and you mentioned it too, that Ryan was kind of there when you made your announcement about retiring. Do you want to touch on it a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny because I remember he was at the 10 last year because I remember I was there and Ryan came up to me. He's like, oh my gosh, Matt Centrowitz just told me that 2025 will be his last competition year. That was almost a year ago. We're coming up on the 10 next week. So you're a year removed from that announcement, and just curious for you, reflecting on the past year for yourself and what it's been like for you.
Yeah, again, going into that meet, I feel like if you announce retire, I'm going to retire this year, it's almost like giving yourself an out, I'm not taking this year seriously, or I'm already throwing in the towel, and that was far from it. I had all intentions and ambitions to make the Olympic team last year until the injury late in the summer, or I guess early summer, but late in the season. And yeah, Ryan and I, again, like I said, Ryan's just obviously great at what he does, and we just got on chatting, and I even surprised myself afterwards of being man, I kind of wasn't expecting to say all of that or feeling that way, and it just kind of came out organically. And but nonetheless, I knew being an Olympic year, being my age, some opportunities, and then obviously goals as well off of the track. Just kind of felt like it was the right time to close out a career. Regardless if I had made the Olympic team or not last year, it was kind of what I felt was best for me in my life. But yeah, a lot of exciting things. New job, obviously we mentioned earlier, a dad as well. And so all very much exciting things that just kind of feel like when you retire, or you put a end to something that I've been doing for over half my life, can be pretty sad and a bit depressing. But I felt like with all the other exciting things going on in my life, family wise, and then obviously opportunities like this, it almost makes me feel like I didn't miss a step, or there was no lag in between of this very empty, feeling of no more track and field. What do I do? What's next? I felt like I did a pretty good job of transitioning to that next chapter in life.
I love that. As you transition, what was your mindset shift like to go from being a professional athlete and being an athlete for half your life into now this kind of analyst role?
Yeah, I mean, I already made a joke about it, like within the first month of like the new role and the expectations and the lifestyle and like the hours. My old role, like it was a mandatory nap in the middle of the day, and now it's like 12 hours straight, barely a lunch break, could barely like find time to squeeze like a run in throughout the day. And so, yeah, it's completely different. Exactly what I wanted. I wanted a new challenge. I wanted something that was a pivot from track and field, but still able to like have my foot still in the door and like, again, like opportunities like this, being able to like be a sports analyst, with FloTrack and then like some other opportunities again that hopefully I'll be able to mention in the coming days. But like that's what I love to do. I love talking, and I love track and field. And so mixing the two, it just felt like a no brainer to take advantage of have these opportunities and still be able to do my day-to-day job. So.
I love that. And I read your interview. You have a little quote in the article that I believe is coming out today. You said FloTrack's kind of been there through your entire journey, all the way from like 2006 and 2007. Talk to me about how that relationship has evolved.
So my understanding was FloTrack, like in my eyes, again, when you hear about a company, like whether they're a public company or not, more times than none, they've probably been around years before you've heard of them. But like 2006 was, I remember the first time like I've heard of FloTrack. My dad did like, I don't know, like a handful of segments with them, whether it was about his own career, his coaching. And then there was a segment with my sister and I who ran track and field. And so that was like my introduction to FloTrack. And back in like, 2006, like, it was like FloTrack and like DieStat was like maybe the two like ways to get like, running content. And DieStat wasn't doing what FloTrack was doing. They were just like a forum of like people kind of like, like let's run, like gossip and posting results and stuff. But, 2006 was my introduction. My dad was, my recollection, like one of the first guys on there, which is pretty fitting given the fact like 20 years later, I'm part of FloTrack in some capacity. And just kind of my dad being the, I guess, the leadoff leg and I'm anchoring the Centrowitz team with FloTrack. So pretty exciting stuff. And it's great to also see that, where FloTrack has come over that time, right? Like, I mean, 20 years is no joke. That's a long time to be very successful and have scaled and grown to what they've become now. And a lot of conversations that I've had with Ryan, since the last fall is kind of like, sort of speak of like almost getting back to like old FloTrack ways of like, how they put out content, their involvement in the sport, how they're connecting with fans and so forth. And so I was, again, it was a no brainer and I was super excited to be able to continue that with you guys and put out some really cool content this year and do some fun things with Diamond League and other things that we're obviously excited to share with you guys in the coming weeks.
Matt, I'm curious, you're still pretty fresh out of the sport, only in the last few months, but like the sport has changed so much in those 20 years and even in the last 5. Like, where do you see track and field today and where do you see it kind of going as far as how much it's been evolving?
It's wild. It's so hard to keep up if you're not constantly on like message boards or like on World Athletics or Twitter or whatever. Between high school kids just ripping times, between college guys with NIL deals, between the pros running world records every single week, and it makes for very entertaining track and field, and it's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to be, I'm going to be biased and be an American track and field athlete across the board, whether you're in the sprints, field, or distance. So, yeah, it's changed a lot, but I'll speak to like maybe more of like my area. So like middle distance and distance, I think it's cyclical. Like I think track and field is cyclical. I think, we're in an era right now, clearly that, there's a lot of fast times, no one's waiting around and making races tactical. But I think that there's going to be a time, whether it's in, post LA, maybe sooner, probably not, but there'll be a time where we go back to having some more tactical, like slower races, just because that's just the nature of the sport. But yeah, we're living in a time right now where that's not the case. And if you're not like super strong and ready to run a championship record, you're probably not going to win a medal. So again, I'm just happy that with these fast times, there are like a handful of other athletes that are capable of running it, because I used to like the tactical races because it left a lot of people in the field like late in the race. And again, like, I'm biased, but I like the fact that you don't know who's going to win until like 100 or 50 meters to go. Like watching like someone run away from the field is like, I don't know, like a little bit of a yawn fest. It's just like, all right, like I want to see the best, like, competing over the last like, stages of the race. But if you get that in these fast races, like what you are, like look at the Olympics in the 1500, like you have 4 guys all within the last 50 meters of each other running championship records, being a second half off the world record, then that's great. Like I don't care if it's fast, I don't care if it's slow. I just like to see like the best of the best competing over the last 100 meters, last 200 meters with each other. And that's what you're getting like almost across the board. So it's a great time right now to be a fan. I'm excited to have some type of involvement in all this and being able to track and follow and commentate on it. And so looking forward to a lot of more exciting matchups this year. I'm hoping the trash talking is at all-time highs. I want to see the beef. I want to see all the smoke. And looking forward to it.
I love that. I do want to touch on something you said a little bit earlier, that you and your dad were with Flo way back in the day. Thanks to Ryan, I went through the archives and we have an interview from 2007 Nike. Can we go ahead and play that video?
I just knocked my computer down. I knocked it down because I went to go put my hand over my face because I know what it is. Oh man, yeah, it's so cringe. But go ahead, run it if you want it.
I already know. Around 200 mark, kind of saying something. What were you saying along there?
He couldn't hear me, but
I did.
You better cut out before the day.
Be patient, probably be patient.
Be patient.
Yeah, because I know he wanted to go and. This is his first 2 miles, so it was unfair to put that in that position.
Right. So, how much confidence do you have knowing that you have this guy helping you? I mean, what does that do for you?
It's real nice to have a father that's been through it all. So his words would probably mean a little more than an average parent that probably wouldn't know what they're talking about. So I just try taking what he says and put it to use. And
boys, 4x200 meter relay.
Does he make you keep your room clean?
No, my mom.
Lanes all the way around.
Mom runs the roost.
Clear picture.
I get to go to the girl's house.
Head into that final handoff.
There it is. Oh.
I intentionally left that in for you.
Let me just start by saying back in 2007, bangs were in. Okay, let me just start with that.
You should bring it back. I heard trans recycle.
Yeah, we should. But I won't be the one. But maybe we can get Ryan. I don't know. Someone else can start that trend, and I'll follow after.
Yeah, I support. After seeing that, like, what kind of feelings does that bring back? You were so young, and to see what you've done from then, your entire career, and then now you're still kind of in the sport and changing the sport and making it better for the people behind you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to longevity, like my relationship with my family and running and what it's done for us. Also, just the history with me and FloTrack as well, like I said earlier. So yeah, it's a lot of things. I wish I could say I haven't seen that interview in many, many years, but for whatever reason, like that interview along with the Nike Outdoor 2 mile, like somehow just pops up in my life every few years. And I go down memory lane and I cringe at that interview, but I enjoy watching the race. But it's just crazy to think like how time goes. That's approaching 20 years ago, which is like wild to me. It's like, where has the time gone? And I hate that as you get older, time goes quicker. And so trying to savor all the moments and take advantage of, all the opportunities I still have within the sport. And again, it's given me so much, given my family so much, that I love the fact that I'm still able to be involved and in some way, somehow also give back to the sport and maybe some other athletes in some capacity. So that's my aim. That's my goal. I hope I keep having a footprint in the sport for as long as possible. So.
And then lastly, how are you managing I know we already talked about you're a new dad, 4-month-old at home. Like, goodness, I'm sure you're not getting much sleep or anything like that. What's that been like?
It's been awesome. I mean, I'm lucky because like my wife is just, a superhero and clutches up and does 95% of the things. Like I will give when he takes a bottle, I'll help with that feeding. And I'm just there for moral support. If she needs a burp cloth, if she needs something, I'm running it over to her. But it's been great. There's obviously times like where they're going to be difficult, where they're going to be hard. You're going to be sleep deprived. Like that's just, I think, having a newborn and infant 101. So, once you get past that and you understand like that's just part of the process and everyone goes through it, you can just kind of extract all the positive and rewarding things about being a parent. And so I'm loving parenthood. It's been more than I could have imagined. Maybe like 5 years ago, I didn't even know if I wanted kids. And a couple of years ago, I wanted them like ASAP. So it's been a blessing, and just enjoying like every single day with the little guy, because one thing that I heard from one person, and it like rings true, and I think about it almost every day, is that the years are long, but the days are short, and it feels like that. Sorry, I totally butchered it. It's the days are long and the years are short, and so I feel like I look back and he's already 4 months, and I'm like, I don't know where the time went, but again, you're up with him at 4 in the morning, and doing the feeding and the burping, and then it's like this crazy like 3-hour cycle that you do every 3 hours for throughout the 24 hours for the first few months. And it's like, unless you have any background on like how newborns are and like what the parent life is, and I feel like most men don't, you're kind of like in for a rude awakening. And so once you get callous to that after the first like few weeks, and you're like, all right, this is my life now for, I don't know, the foreseeable future, then you just kind of lock in. So
I know it might be a bit early, but how is his closing speed?
It's coming along. I think his strength is a little better than his speed right now, which is good. Being in altitude right now, Park City, 7,000. That was all part of our plan. I'm probably going to drop him off to Kenya or Ethiopia at the age of 2, and then I'll wait for him to come back at 18. And he has an NIL deal with NAU.
Of course.
Shout out Jared. Yeah, Jared Coulfield already locked that one in. So, we're entertaining other NIL deals. We haven't really accepted that one yet, but it's great to get the offers already. So,
absolutely. But we wish him the best in that.
Yeah. Same.
Matt, real quick, you spoke about legacy a little bit, and you obviously left your footprint on the track. I would love to know what you would love to do in this space that you're in now.
Yeah. So, like the thing is I'm at the point now, and I understand that, and I realize that, where a lot of, if not every single high school and maybe most college guys like don't even know who I am now. It's like they're looking up to the Cole Hawkers and the Naguses and Hob Kesslers, right? And Grant Fishers, of course. And like, I hopefully maybe left like somewhat of a footprint, or like, maybe inspired at least one or two guys to like, during the generation now that's like at the world championships and competing there. And so moving forward, like, I'm not inspiring any of those young guys now. That's what the current crop of guys are doing. And so I'm hoping that what I can kind of like leave back and or at least provide in the next few years, at least leading up to LA, is just some excitement, some commentary around the sport, hopefully bridge the gap and connect the athletes with the fan base that we have, and bring in other fans that maybe haven't historically been track and field fans, and maybe are new and interested into the sport with all the new and exciting things that a lot of people are doing, right? There's a lot of money being pumped into the sport. There's a lot of exciting storylines. And so I think I would just like to kind of help maybe tell some of those stories. I think I'd like to generate a lot of interest and some buzz around track and field. And so that's kind of how I see like my involvement and what I can kind of do right now in the next X amount of years for track, versus walking to, going up to a high school meet and, walking around and having, high school kids be inspired and want my autograph like that. Those days are long gone. Like I can walk around a high school and a college meet and I'm just, a fan now and just an everyday guy. And so I've embraced that, and now just looking forward to doing things now, in other areas in the sport.
No, for sure. We're happy to have you here.
I want to next
Thanks.
dive into our deep dive. And Matt, I'm going to toss this one to you first. Since you're out of all of us, you have a world title. So I trust your expertise in this one. World Champs is coming up this weekend. What fields are you looking at and races are you excited to watch?
I mean, again, I'll start with the events I know. On paper, on the women's side, on paper, and it never ends up on paper, but it looks like it'd be like an Ethiopian sweep from the 8 to the 3K. And as we all know, especially World Indoors, I sometimes almost argue it's harder to win a World Indoor title than a World Outdoor title, because when you are thrown on a 200 bank, you have even less room of mistakes, and you probably only get one crack at getting it right, whereas there's a lot more room for error on an outdoor track. So on paper, Ethiopians 8, 15, 3K, but I like Nia ran a PB at USA's. That bodes well for her. I could see her medaling. I could also see Georgia Bell in the 15. She looked phenomenal in Millrose. Winning. She's a gamer. She showed it at the Olympics. And then I think in the women's 3, I'm living in Utah right now, so I got to shout out Whitney on getting a medal, or surprising a lot of people. She's been like on a tear since last year, and she's been keeping that rolling. So those are some like outside chances that I like, on top of like obviously the Ethiopians across the board who've run, I think they're the world leading times right now. And so the men's races, like, I hate to say this because, I don't want to, like jinx him or make it sound like it's not going to be exciting, but it's hard to see. It's hard to be in a world where Jakob doesn't win both and like runs away like convincingly. He looks unbelievable at Euros. And so I see him winning the double, like quite like comfortably. And then I have Hoey in the men's 8. He's been, again, on a roll since last summer, kept it going since this indoor season. He's super sharp. He's super strong, winning the 15 against Grant. So he's shown that obviously he can run fast in the 8, number world time of all time. And then he's also, won a 15 against Grant Fisher, who is not easy to beat these days in 3:33. So those are my picks across the board in the 8, 15, 3K, and in the other events, it seems, especially like with Grand Slam track, that a lot of athletes have kind of opted to do Grand Slam and kind of get ready for that instead of showing up at Worlds. So, I think you're going to see a little bit of a lag there with some fields and some athletes opting to those meets. But nonetheless, I think you're going to see it's a world title on the line, and there's still good money there. So you're going to see a lot of good races and people kind of, peaking for this and getting up for it.
My final question for you, we're doing a little bit of rapid fire, is what world record do you think will go down this weekend?
Oh, man.
It's loaded.
I think the easy one to say is Josh Hoey in the 8. I'll go with Josh Hoey in the 8. It's, Ingrid Britson's doing the double, so it'll be a little bit harder to break one of those. And but not, I mean, you can't dismiss him. But I'm gonna go with Josh Hoey in the 8. There you go.
That's a solid
That's my
pick.
prediction.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today at the meetup. I'm so happy to have you, and I can't wait to see your face all over FloTrack's feed and reoccurring on the meetup.
Get used to it.
Get used to it.
Thanks guys for having me on. Appreciate it.